So then, the Mexico City ePrix. Let's talk about round 2 of the Formula E World Championship Season 11. And it was on the 11th of January. And as we only have, I believe, one single header left, the race in Jakarta, let's talk about this standalone race. Let's start off with a bit of a rundown. Porsche were arguably the favourites, and they locked out the front row. Pascal Wehrlein ahead of Antonio Felix da Costa, 2 poles from 2 this season for Pascal Wehrlein. And in the early phases of the race, they were up at the front. They did have some challenges here and there, but again, it was still Porsche powertrains. It was the likes of Jake Dennis, for instance. But it was only really when the safety car started to come out in the late phase for David Beckman and Lucas di Grassi getting together, we started to see fortunes change. And it was Oliver Rowland that made the most of it. A bit like how, 12 months ago we saw Sam Bird do it at Sao Paulo. Oliver Rowland managed to make the most of the safety car restart and the attack mode to get past both the Porsches into the lead. It's props to him for being there in the first place, but hey, he's one of the better drivers in Formula E as well. He was one of the better performances last season. Unfortunate to have had to miss 2 rounds in Portland, which is part of the reason why he was so high up in my end of year driver rankings at the end of 2024. But he made the most of the opportunity and got out and won by 4/10 of a second over Da Costa. Wehrlein dropped down in the later stage of the race as well. Didn't get the fastest lap either. That went the way of Jake Dennis, showing that overall the Porsche powertrain is arguably still the powertrain to have in Mexico City. But at the same time, anybody who makes the most of any opportunity in front of them can get to the front of the pack. It's one of the reasons I love Formula E, eh? Elsewhere, we saw the 2 Penske's performing quite well, 5th and 6th for Verne and Gunter respectively. Van Dorn just behind them in 7th. And in fact, it was all of the Stellantis group in the top 10, because Jake Hughes got 10th. The other 2 in the top 10 were Nick de Vries, getting some points from Mahindra, really well done by him, and Nico Muller in the other Andretti. But there were other incidents here and there. Dan Tickton managed to recover from having to go into the pit lane on the first lap. He got up to 16th place, 1 place lower than where he qualified, but still decent. Just behind Zane Maloney and Taylor Barnard, who also had decent races. Barnard up from 19th to 14th, whilst teammate Sam Bird dropped down from 10th to 80th. It's not really his track, is it, Mexico, after the injury he got? What was it, last season? I think it was last season, wasn't it? Where Barnard had to substitute for him. And, yeah, Bird picked up a penalty this time around, losing 5 seconds out, and that being an issue for him when it came to the safety car, though it only cost him on pace back to Buemi, who started way down in 21st place. In the end, the championship standings look a bit like a kind of hit and miss for most drivers. Roland, who won, is second in the standings after a classified 14th place finish in Sao Paulo. That was when the powertrain went out on him. Mitch Evans, who won Sao Paulo, didn't finish in Mexico City, so is tied with Roland in the standings. Well, Roland's technically ahead because Mitch is counted as a non-finish. Roland's counted as 14th place. Pascal Wehrlein, pole in both races, but 4th place in the standings because he didn't finish in Mexico City, no, in Sao Paulo, because he was, on his roof, and he got 3rd place here. Taylor Barnard is in 5th. Despite not scoring points in Mexico City, got the 3rd place in Sao Paulo. What that means is the championship leader after 2 races was 2nd place in both of them. Got fastest lap in Sao Paulo. It's Antonio Felix da Costa, the double champion. And who can really be surprised? He's one of the most consistent performers in Formula E history. It was surprising to see him so far apart from Wehrlein at the end of last season. But it shows in Formula E, it is such a competitive field that realistically, anybody can win any week. Likewise, in the team standings, Porsche are well ahead. They've got double the points of McLaren in 2nd, but that's because McLaren had a great round in Sao Paulo and 2 non-scores in Mexico City. Jaguar the same, 25 points. Nissan, no scores in Sao Paulo, and the win in Mexico City. They're also on 25 points. But Porsche, they've been consistent again. 22 points in Sao Paulo, and that was partially because of the performance of their line with pole position, but partially because of the second place for Antonio Felix da Costa. And it was a double podium in Mexico City. We'll see what happens in Jeddah, but this is why Porsche have been able to be so good in Formula E. It's not because of necessarily having the high peaks of the other teams. It's about always being there. Heck, Mahindra are in 5th in the standings. They've got 22 points, which if we look back to the last season, Mahindra finished in 2024 in Season 10 with 47 points. In 2 rounds in Season in Season 11, they've almost got half the points they did in Season 10. But anyways, those are my thoughts, my feelings, my observations from the Mexico City ePrix. Anything stand out to you? Let me know in the comment section down below. Until next time, it's bye-bye for now.